Authorities in Idaho are trying to track down exactly how Bryan Kohberger may have known any of the 4 alleged victims, all University of Idaho students. Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison Mogan, Zonner Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin all died November 13th in a home near campus. They were viciously stabbed to death. Police identified Kohberger and announced his arrest, but haven't said anything about his connection to the 4 students. Kohberger was part of a doctoral program at Washington State University, which is just about 20 minutes away from Moscow, Idaho. But when asked about Kohberger, a friend of Kaylee and Madison said she had never seen him or heard of him. In fact, the bar where Kaylee and Madison were seen on the night of the murders, the Corner Club, posted on Twitter that Kohberger had never been in the bar before and was not there on that fateful night. Right now, I want to bring back in Bryan to talk a little bit more about the clues of law enforcement. So, Bryan, we know that police searched Kohberger's apartment. They searched the parents' home. At this point, what does it tell us?
Yeah, Jesse, with the affidavit sealed and a gag order, I believe, in place, we can take an educated guess as to what the police are looking for. Search warrants for his person, his home in Pennsylvania, and his car does tell us a little bit about this investigation. First, the search of his person. They probably want to get his DNA. They may already have it or what they suspect to be his DNA, but they want a clean chain of custody of his DNA to the test facility. Imagine the defense argues the DNA collected could have been his father and not him during their cross-country trip. They don't want that. His home in a car, that white Elantra, I don't think they will find the murder weapon. I would guess he threw it away during the trip. Police are more likely looking for any genetic material from the victims in the cars or on his clothes. Yeah. Even his clothes. Sure, he has a master's in criminology and was a PhD student, but there is school and then there's real life. He may not be as smart as he thinks and left clues for the police to connect him to these murders. There may not be the proverbial smoking gun in this case, but a victim's DNA in his car or on his clothes that he brought home with him, that may just be as good as the murder weapon at trial.
You see what Bryan said, Terry? The father. So we know that Kohberger's father was in the car with him when he was stopped on the road. Could he be connected to the crime in any way?
You know what's interesting? I'm wondering whether or not these two were released early on and then they looped back around and got them. So I think the father could very well be involved. And here's why. Why was he in that car driving back from Washington State and going to Pennsylvania? He's with his son. I'm sure they had conversations in that car. One of the things I think we have to be really clear on is that DNA. What if the DNA was partly the father and not the son? Will they be arguing that in court? Who knows? But the other issue is, was the father trying to aid and abet his son somehow in the crime, or was he an accessory after the fact somehow, driving him away from the scene of the crime? We don't know these answers, and I'm hoping that we get more information when we actually see the indictment and certainly when the evidence comes in. But I would not completely rule out the father at this point just because he's in that car trying to get away from the scene of the crime.
You know what I can't get over is the fact that if Kohberger did this, what was going through his mind when he stopped by police? That was like a deer in the headlights looking at the police. He maybe thought that he was getting caught, again, assuming he did.